The 1960s, man, what a time to be alive. Revolution was in the air. The Vietnam War raged, the civil rights movement was in full swing. And amidst all this change and upheaval, people still craved their horror movies. But little did they know, a revolution was brewing in horror itself. A revolution with rotting teeth and a taste for brains. 1968. George A. Romero, a visionary director with a shoestring budget, unleashed Night of the Living Dead upon an unsuspecting world. This wasn't your grandma's zombie flick, unless your grandma was into some seriously messed up stuff. This was different, this was raw, this was terrifying, this was groundbreaking. Shot in stark black and white, with a grainy film quality that just screamed, "This is real," Night of the Living Dead threw viewers headfirst into a nightmare. It felt like a documentary, like something you'd stumble across on late-night TV while channel surfing. The effect was unsettling, immersive, and unforgettable. This wasn't some polished Hollywood production. This was horror in its rawest form. We meet Ben, our reluctant hero, in a graveyard. He's cool, resourceful, and clearly not taking any crap from the newly risen dead. This guy is who you want on your zombie apocalypse team. He's got this whole survival thing figured out. But even Ben's strength is tested as he faces a world gone mad. Section 5. Seeking refuge, trapped with the living dead, and the living difficult. Ben finds his way to a farmhouse hoping for safety. The night is dark and the air is thick with tension. Every step he takes is measured, every sound amplified in the eerie silence. The farmhouse stands as a beacon of hope amidst the chaos, but little does Ben know it's not just the undead he has to worry about. But guess what? It's full of other survivors. Yay? Well, not so fast. The house is a melting pot of fear, anxiety, and clashing personalities. Each person brings their own baggage, and in a situation where cooperation is key, this spells trouble. There's Barbara, traumatized to the point of catatonia. She sits in a corner, her eyes vacant, her mind trapped in the horrors she's witnessed. Her presence is a stark reminder of the fragility of the human psyche in the face of unimaginable terror. Harry, the self-proclaimed leader with a serious case of it's-all-about-me-itis. His domineering attitude and refusal to listen to others create a toxic environment. He believes his way is the only way, and anyone who disagrees is just a hindrance. And then there's Judy and Tom, young lovers who are about to discover that sometimes till death do us part comes a lot sooner than expected. Their love is a flicker of light in the darkness, but the weight of the situation threatens to snuff it out. They cling to each other, hoping that together they can survive the night. In this house, survival isn't just about avoiding the undead, it's about navigating the complex web of human emotions and conflicts. The living can be just as dangerous as the dead, and sometimes even more so. As the night progresses, the true challenge becomes clear. Can they work together, or will their differences be their downfall? Section 6. Clashing personalities, the real monsters are us. As the living dead close in, the tension inside the farmhouse reaches a boiling point. The survivors, already on edge, find themselves pushed to their limits. Fear and paranoia begin to take hold, and the true nature of each individual starts to surface. The real horror unfolds within the farmhouse. Personalities clash, tempers flare, and the fragile alliances that were formed out of necessity start to crumble. The group is a mix of strangers, each with their own backgrounds and beliefs, and these differences become glaringly apparent under the stress of their situation. Rational thought goes out the window faster than a zombie through a screen door. The once safe haven of the farmhouse becomes a pressure cooker of emotions. Every decision is questioned, every action scrutinized, and trust is a rare commodity. The group's inability to cooperate, to find common ground, and to put aside their differences in the face of unimaginable terror becomes their biggest weakness. The farmhouse, meant to be a sanctuary, turns into a battleground of wills and egos. The fear of the unknown outside is only matched by the fear of the known inside. The survivors' struggle is not just against the zombies, but against their own inner demons. Their inability to unite and work together makes them vulnerable, and the real monsters start to reveal themselves. Are the real monsters outside lurking in the shadows waiting to strike? Or are they trapped inside with Ben and the others, hidden behind familiar faces and human frailties? The true horror of the situation is not just the threat of the undead, but the realization that the greatest danger may come from within. In the end, the question remains, who are the real monsters? Section 7. Ben's struggle leadership in the face of chaos. Ben tries to take charge to bring some order to the chaos, but it's like herding cats, zombie cats, with a taste for human flesh. The survivors bicker, they second guess, and they just can't seem to get their act together. It's enough to make you want to join the zombies. At least they seem to have their priorities straight brains. Section 8. The true horror, humanity's failure to unite. Romero's genius lies in showing us that the real horror isn't the flesh-eating ghouls outside, it's the breakdown of human society, the disintegration of our ability to work together when it matters most. It's a chilling commentary on the human condition, and it's perhaps even more relevant today than it was back in 1968. Section 9. Beyond the Grave, the Legacy of Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural phenomenon. Released in 1968, it came at a time when America was grappling with social upheaval, civil rights movements, and the Vietnam War. The film's stark black and white imagery and its unflinching portrayal of societal collapse struck a chord with audiences who were already feeling the weight of a world in turmoil. It redefined the zombie genre, taking it from voodoo curses and Haitian folklore to a more grounded, relatable, well, sort of fear. Before Romero's vision, zombies were often depicted as mindless slaves under the control of a malevolent master. But Night of the Living Dead introduced a new kind of terror. The idea that the dead could rise on their own, driven by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. This was a game changer. The film spawned countless sequels, remakes, and imitators, each building upon the foundation laid by Romero's masterpiece. From Dawn of the Dead to Shaun of the Dead, the influence of Night of the Living Dead is undeniable. It paved the way for an entire subgenre of horror, one that continues to evolve and captivate audiences to this day. And you know what? It's still scary as hell. The film's low-budget aesthetic only adds to its sense of realism. The grainy footage, the stark lighting, and the claustrophobic settings all contribute to an atmosphere of dread that modern CGI-heavy horror films often struggle to replicate. There's something raw and unpolished about Night of the Living Dead that makes it feel disturbingly real. Sure, the special effects might seem a little dated by today's standards, but the raw terror, the social commentary, and the sheer brilliance of Romero's vision continue to resonate with audiences. The film's themes of isolation, mistrust, and the breakdown of social order are as relevant today as they were in 1968. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with news of political strife, natural disasters, and global pandemics, the idea of society crumbling under the weight of its own fears feels all too plausible. This is a film that stays with you long after the credits roll, a stark reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones we see in the mirror. Romero's zombies are terrifying not just because they're undead, but because they force us to confront our own humanity. In the face of an apocalyptic threat, the characters in Night of the Living Dead reveal their true selves, and it's not always pretty. The film asks us to consider what we would do in their shoes, and the answers are often unsettling. So the next time you find yourself face to face with a zombie, remember the lessons of Night of the Living Dead. It's not just about survival, it's about retaining your humanity in the process. The film teaches us that in the darkest of times, our actions define who we are. Will we band together and support one another, or will we succumb to fear and turn on each other? These are the questions that Romero's masterpiece forces us to confront. Work together, don't be a Harry, and for the love of all that is holy, aim for the head. The legacy of Night of the Living Dead is not just in its scares, but in its enduring message about the human condition. It's a film that challenges us to look beyond the horror and see the deeper truths it reveals. So, as you navigate the world of the living and the dead, remember the lessons of Romero's classic. They might just save your life.